Hello and welcome to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. In this video we'll be creating two different types of pause menus. The first one, everything will still move in the background, however my character cannot move, and I can toggle between the pause and unpaused. I can also click resume, and I can go to my options and also my main menu. The second option is if I pause, you can see that everything actually pauses. Nothing is moving, the game is paused. If I resume or if I toggle my pause button, everything pauses and then unpauses, and it works really good. So the first thing that we want to do is go to UI. We just created a folder, right click, new folder, and then call it UI. And in the previous episode, we created a main menu and options menu. If you want to do that, click the card up here. However, it's not necessary for this tutorial, so just right click, scroll down, user interface, and then click widget blueprint, here's your widget, and then we'll call this WG for widget underscore pause. So you can go ahead and open that up and then come up to the search, and we'll search for a canvas panel. So just drag that into the scene, and then I want an image, drag that into the scene as well. And then for the anchor, I'm going to select full screen, and then I'm just going to click on each of these and set them to 0. And then for the brush, you could select an image. I'm just going to do tint, so this works for me. And then I'm just going to set the opacity to 0.7. Next, I want to get a vertical box, drag that into the canvas panel, and then get a button, drag that in as well. And then we also want to get text, just drag the simple, and then drag that on top of the button. For the vertical box, click size to content, and then the Z order, change that to 1, and also change the anchor point to the middle. And then I'm just going to roughly put this in because we're going to change it later. So the button, we want to change that to play button. So for the text, I'm going to change the justification to the center and the transform policy to upper. So now you can see it's uppercase. It'll just make things simpler. And I'm going to call this resume. And then in the padding, I'm going to set the bottom to 10 and the top to 10. And this will just give it more space. And I'll do the same for the button. So click on the button and then go to padding and then set the top and bottom to 10 as well. And that'll give it some padding. Next, with the button selected, I want to go to style, normal, and then the tint. I'm going to change that to this color and then copy and paste that into the outline. And I'm just going to make that a little brighter so you can see the difference right there. And then the corner radius, I'm going to change all of these to 18. And each of these controls a corner, so you can see if I change that, it changes how round it is. I'm just going to keep that at 18. And then the width, I'm going to change that to 7. And the text, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to change that to 60. I'm going to select the play and the text, control copy, select the vertical box and control V, select the vertical box again, and then control V again. With the middle, I'm going to change that to options, and the bottom, I'm going to change that to main menu. And since we added the padding already in here, that's going to add space between the buttons. There's another way to do it, however. If you type spacer, you can drag that in between the buttons and then change the size, and then that'll do a similar thing. I like doing the padding though because it's easier for me. Next, I'm going to select the text, to the canvas panel, do Control V, size to content, set the Z order to 1, and then just drag this to the middle, change the anchor to the upper middle, and then I'm just going to change this to about 150. And then with the text selected, you can hover over the anchor and then use the arrow keys to get that more precisely. Next, I'm going to hover right on the edge of it so that I can click the vertical box. You can also just come in here and select it. However, if you select it in here, you can't use the arrow keys. You have to select it in here if you want to use the arrow keys. If you can't select it from right here, you can select the vertical box from in here and then just change the position from right here. I'm going to go to third person, blueprints, and then third person character. In here, I'm going to add a variable and call that pause question mark. We'll come back to that later, but back in the pause, I'm going to go to graph and then delete everything except for the event construct. Drag off of here, cast to the third person character, and then off of object, I want to get player character, and then I want to drag off, promote to variable, compile, and then I want to get the player controller, and then off of here I want to set show mouse cursor, set that to true, because when this widget is created, we want to show the mouse cursor. Off of get player controller, I want to set game mode to game mode and UI. Then off of event destruct, and then also the play button, I'm actually just going to rename this to resume, and then also name the other buttons, so options button and then main menu button. So back in the event graph, I want to select the resume button, scroll down on clicked. You can also just click on it in here and then do the same thing on clicked, and then I'll just drag that above it. And off of here, I want to remove from parent, because if I click resume, I want to get rid of the widget. And then I'm going to copy this, show mouse cursor, and then drag off get third person character, set pause question mark, and then plug that in and have it at false. And then I'm going to drag off of here and then set game mode to game mode only. So with that set up, I'm going to head out to content, third person, input, actions, and then copy and paste any one of these, F2 to rename it, and then just call this pause, go back to input, IMC default, add mapping, and then click the drop down. You can either search or just select the pause and click right here on the keyboard, and then click escape, add another action mapping, and click that again, and click tab. And I'm doing this because in the editor viewport, if you click escape, it's just going to close out of the game and stop the simulation. If you do tab, that works. Just make sure to delete it once you export your game, unless you want tab to be your pause button. In the third person character, find some room anywhere, just right click, type pause, enhance input, and we want the action event. Click the drop down because we want started and we want flip-flop, and then you can close this again. I want started, not triggered, because triggered goes off kind of like event tick. Started just does it once when you push it. If you do triggered, it's just gonna flip frantically between them, and we don't want that. So off of here, we want to create widget and then add to viewport, and then we want to remove from parent. And the class, we want to set that to pause. I had a pause test, but you just want to do pause. And then we want to get pause, drag that onto the execution pin, tick that to true, do the same for remove from parent, and keep that at false. And before I go any further with this method, I'm just going to show you how to do the other method really quick. So just drag off of pause and type set game paused, and tick that to true, copy, paste, set that to false, copy, go to pause, and on resume, come over here, set pause. And with this method, you don't need this, and you don't need this, and you also don't need these, but what you do need to do is come over here, go to input, actions, pause, and then trigger when paused. You want to tick that, otherwise it won't work when the game is paused. So if I click play and I click the pause button, you can see that everything pauses, the cube stops rotating, but I can go in and out of it freely. I did forget to untick show mouse cursor in here though, so then that should work perfectly. However, I'm going to show you how to do it where when you pause, everything is still moving. So I'm just going to delete the set game paused in all of these, and then up here you want to drag out some room, click B, and then in these you just want to add a branch in between all of these, and you want to add it going in on false. And the variable we want to do paused because we don't want to jump if it's paused. So if we click the jump button, we check if it's paused. If it's not paused, then we can go ahead and do it. If it is paused, then we don't want to do anything. So I'm going to copy this and then control click into false, paste, control drag, and then that should be good for everything. And you'll just want to add a check between each of your events. So if I click play and then press tab, you can see that everything is still moving and everything works as it should. Now the only thing we still need to do is finish the buttons. You can see that when I hover and click, it's not working. So I'm going to go to pause, and then in here, I'm going to select the button, click the drop down to cover that up, and then right click, copy, and then I'm just going to paste this into each of these. And the rule that I follow with this is for hovered, you want to make it a little bit lighter. Same for the outline setting. I'm going to make it a tiny bit lighter. And then for pressed, I make it darker. Same for the outline setting. And instead of doing this for all of these, I'm going to come up here, hover on style, and then copy, options, paste, and then main menu, paste. So play, and now you can see that the buttons look good. But to finish the functionality, I want to click on options, scroll down, and unclicked. On main menu, I want to do the same, and unclicked. Off of main menu, I want to do open level by object reference. You could do by name, I just find this simpler. So in level, I'm going to type main menu, If you want to learn how to set up the main menu, make sure to check out the tutorial up here. Back in the pause, I'm going to go to options, create widget, and then add to viewport and a class. I'm going to select the options, and in here it's pretty simple, just a background, some text, and then the button. All I do is on clicked, remove from widget. Pretty simple, but that should be everything. I tab, I can resume, and I can go to the options, I can go back, I can go to my main menu. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. In the next video, we'll be creating health bar. I've created one in the past, however I want to create an updated one, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.